Welcome back to my hometown. Thanks for taking the time to join me today. I want to first thank the Chapman Building for allowing us to host this week's episode of My Hometown. Brad and Dan Sherman have updated this old building into a new modern event center that still keeps that old feel to it. The Chapman Building is available for all your special events and special occasions. Of course, it's located in downtown Bowie. So thank you to Brad and Dan Sherman for allowing us to be in the Chapman Building today for today's episode. Please welcome my guest today. He is a family man who has raised his family in Bowie. He is a rancher. He is a lifetime resident of Bowie. He's a realtor and owner of Swint Realty. He is a man after my own heart who loves a good nap anytime, anywhere. Please welcome my guest today, Josh Swint. Thank you, Josh, for joining me today.
Thank you, Aaron, for having me.
You're welcome. So we're going to kind of dive into it. Of course, you've been in Bowie all your life. So you know all the ups and downs and goods and bads. But we probably won't talk about any bad, we'll talk about all the good. So we'll kind of go back to right out of high school. Went to high school in Bowie, graduated Jackrabbit.
Yes, sir. I went off to Midwestern. I never really moved off and got the college experience. I just worked with my dad, drove back and forth.
Now working with your dad, and you worked with your dad in high school.
Yes.
Because your dad at the time had a car dealership?
Yes. Yes. And I worked at the office of the car dealership and out on the ranch. And, I tried to work at the ranch all I could. That's my passion. But
sometimes Dad called you in to work with them.
Yes.
So what did you do at the car dealership? You sell cars? Or did you?
I sold cars. We had
Even in high school?
Yeah, well, not when I got out of school. And then we, finance cars, and then we, wholesale a lot of cars. And I would go to the dealerships and bid trades while I was in college. I'd go to the dealerships in Wichita and did their trades that they were coming in.
Because that dealership was where your office is now, right?
Yes, that's what my dad did. Yeah, we bought it. We sold it in '94, and
Sold
we
the
bought
dealership.
it back in '07 for a real estate company the second time.
But you sold the building or
The building.
not the dealership.
Well, yeah, he sold the dealership in '94.
In '94.
That's when I graduated. I just got married. He asked me if Dad was pretty impulsive, and he asked me if I wanted to buy the dealership from him, and I was just 22, and I really didn't like the car business all that good. And I said, well, I don't think so. And so when I come back from college the next day, I was about to graduate, and he said, I sold the dealership today. I said, oh, okay. I didn't have a lot of time to think about it. I mean, I kind of told him no, but it wasn't a definite. But it all worked out.
So where'd you go to college? What was your major?
I majored in general business, and some might kind of laugh at this, but I basically have a minor in philosophy.
But you like philosophy?
Oh, yeah. It was basically logical argument up there. It was pre-law in Midwestern is what it really was. But it was called philosophy, so I kind of got grasped a little bit about that.
What you got to have in the car business, now in the real estate business, because we've talked many times about people and patterns, and when you can recognize those patterns in people and events, you have an advantage.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's Dad and Mom both being salesmen, they would tell me, these type of people are out now, or this is going on now, and it would always be the same type of people doing the same things at basically the same time. When I used to work out with you earlier in the mornings, I would tell you, I didn't see many cars coming to town, so I bet it's a slow day. And it would be at the office, too. I wouldn't even pass cars early, like at 4 in the morning, but it would be a slow day at the office, it seemed like. It didn't always hold true, but
a lot of times it does.
It does.
Same thing if you go to a certain store on certain days, you see
Certain
same
types of people.
type of people.
Yeah, Robin would always we'd go to the mall or wherever, and I would tell her, what kind of people did you see? And we'd say, the single moms, or it was, dads with their daughters, or, it wouldn't be all, but it would be a higher percentage. And you got to recognize those patterns in a lot of business things, not just the sales business, but
Because when you recognize those, you do have a hand up.
Yeah.
An upper hand on that.
get ahead of that wave.
Mm-hmm. And so Robin, you and Robin have been married since
July the 2nd of 1994.
how long?
That's
Have you been
29
reversing
years.
that?
Yes. No, I'm pretty good about remembering it. I think she's worse about remembering it than I am.
And she went to college.
Yeah, she graduated from TWU with an education degree. She taught public schools for about 5 years, and then she had a preschool for 15 years. And she, quote, retired about 4 or 5 years ago when her daughter was a senior, and we redo houses a lot. So she kind of took over that. I was kind of tired of going to the parks and picking out colors and, girls that kind of like that. So it kind of fell into her.
And you talk about she started a preschool. Smarty Pants, there's a big, it is probably a lot of, part of a lot of kids' lives.
Yes.
Yours, all of mine.
Yes. In fact, her bragging thing is, I think of the last 18 or so valedictorians, I think 15 of them went through her preschool, including your son.
So that's a pretty good number.
Yeah.
And it all starts young, so she can, it's that education that got it, Smarty Pants.
Yes, definitely. Her and her mother were partners, and they enjoyed that. And and then it was time to move on.
Mm-hmm.
Oil field had slowed down, and that really happened. You wouldn't think that would be related to the preschool business, but when oil field slowed down, it slowed down the preschool business.
I mean, really in our community, oil field, it affects a lot of different businesses.
It does.
So a lot of families are affected by it.
Yes. Oh yeah.
You talked about your dad and working with your dad and him being impulsive. And I know from our conversations, you've learned a lot of things from your dad over the years, whether it's from car dealership, whether it's ranching, whether it's just life in general. What are some of those lessons that you learned from Dad? And I think from our parents, we learn those things that they directly teach us and say, son, do this, this, and this. And sometimes it's those lessons they teach us just from us watching.
Yes. Well, he grew up in the end of the Depression, and he was really too small for the worst of the Depression, but he's really poor.
Mm-hmm.
And the main thing I learned from him is work. I mean, he worked all the time. We didn't know really Sundays was much different than any other day. It was a work day.
Mm-hmm.
And if the Cowboys were playing, we did take off a minute to watch them, and that's about the closest thing to a day off we did. We'd work at the car dealers all week, and then on the farm the weekends. Summer I kind of worked out there, but that's what I learned from him is hard work. And it also overcomes a lot of things. If you're down in the mouth and not, thinking things are bad, if you go to work, that'll solve a lot of problems. It'll work you through that problem, nearly all problems. Don't see many people working going right.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, you can. I mean, there's a lot of things you can be talented at, but if you're not working at it, it's not happening. Somebody that is a hard worker can outbeat somebody that's talented. I think.
Yep, for sure.
More times than not, for sure. So you get out of college, you go to college and get a business degree and minor in philosophy. Then what's the direction after that?
Well, we were going to Dad had sold that dealership, and so we were going to just ranch. We had about 800 cows, and that would, make us a decent living. It wasn't a big living, but it would, we enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
And the cattle market dropped. And I just got married, and, it's kind of hard to make a living with cattle on bottom. So Mom was in the real estate business already, and she said, why don't you get your real estate license? Well, I didn't think that was for me, but I got my real estate license, and I went to work on January the 2nd of 1995, and I sold a house that day.
The same day you went to work?
Yeah, and Mom had the house listed 5 years. It was a geodesic dome home out here off of Upper Vashti Road, or Old Vashti Road. And Mom said, wow, that's a pretty good start.
So what was the secret? What was the secret that you...
I think it was just beginner's luck, but, I'll call it skill. And the rest of the kind of history on that, I just started selling stuff, and, a little bitty commission then to me looked like a pretty big, couple $100 was a lot.
That's
I
big.
needed it.
Uh-huh.
And when the need makes you work a little harder too.
Uh-huh. So then after that first house sale sounded right away, how long before your next sale?
Not very long. Mom had some land listed, a lot of land. Back then, things had been real slow after the oil bust of the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And she'd had land listed for 10 years, 5 and 10 years. And I listed some tracts out here north of Bowie for $1,000 an acre. And she said, well, that was good practice for the paperwork, but it won't bring that here. You know, I mean, she showed me this list of all these properties that had been, well, the guy would owner finance it, which it was hard to get land finance back then. Well, I sold like a 25-acre tract, like the first two, you know, that I listed it, and I sold all 3 of them within a week, and that was all within about the first month. And land started going up, and we started buying and selling. Mm-hmm. Dad was always a trader. Mom was not as much a trader. She just sold stuff, and I kind of brought the trading part to it. And I would see bargains, and we'd buy them together. Mom would bring the money, and I would bring the deal, and we'd split the money.
So then your dad had sold the car dealership. So what was your dad doing? Was he just ranching?
He just kind of helped me tend to the cattle, you know, and that was, he stayed with that and would feed. And, you know, he was in his 60s then and had some heart trouble, so he was ready to slow down. Mm-hmm. And, you know, he just messed with the cows, and that was really it for him. Mm-hmm.
So then having, within the first month, having all that luck, not luck, well, maybe just things happening, right? Mm-hmm. Probably like those things we talk about, it's those patterns.
Yes.
You know, I think we go through patterns of good times and bad times, and sometimes it's those good times we catch all the right things. So did that motivate you to, like, man, I can make a career out of this? Like, man, this is gonna.
Well, I don't know that I really still thought it was a career. It was kind of funny what motivated me really to get in real estate. I've got to back up just a little bit. I interviewed for a job that I thought I was ultra qualified for here at Bowie. I'd been financing people and stuff. And I got turned down for that job, and they hired another guy. It was really a big blessing, you know, because I think I had a lot more freedom, and you know, I don't know if I made any more money, but I had a lot more freedom, and that's been good, you know. But it kind of finally blossomed into a career.
Do you think if you got hired at that job that you applied for, do you think things might take you longer to get?
Yeah, I don't think I'd ever been quite where I'm at. I mean, I think I've got I hope that I've got a career going that hopefully my kids come back to. My daughter's just moved back, and she's got a real estate license. My son wants to get his. My sister's in it. My mother's in it. Mm-hmm. I've got a nephew that's a developer. I've got a niece that's a commercial broker. You know, and my other nephew was in real estate for a while. So, you know, we've got a lot of family in real estate. It's been pretty good, and some cousins.
So how long into it when you thought, okay, you know, I think I can make this. I think this will probably be a career. It's not just to get me through till I get to the next.
Well, I'm a little hard-headed, so I didn't really like working for other people. So I figured out right quick that kind of let me do. I could work on my own pace and be my own boss. And if I screwed up, you know, my customers either wouldn't come back to me. So I tried to please them. Mm-hmm. And people think when you work for yourself in the real estate business, you're not really got a boss, but actually I've got a lot more bosses than the average person, but we only have to work for them 30 or 45 days mostly. Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, people that have the same boss, they're at an advantage because they know how they work.
Yes.
So you're dealing with somebody new every 30, 45 days, and you're having to adjust of how this person operates, because everybody operates on a different.
And that's another big lesson I learned from Mom and Dad about being flexible growing up. Like, because we never knew what we were going to be doing that day. We might be moving cattle, we might be picking cars up in Fort Worth. It was all over. Mm-hmm. And I always told my kids growing up, the most important thing in life is flexibility. If you can do whatever you need to do to get it done, that'll you know, along with that hard work, it's pretty hard to beat.
Mm-hmm. Because when you growing up with your dad and mom, there's no set way, hey, we're going to do this, and this is planned out for the week. And
we're the most unplanned people. It drives my wife crazy, and it drives a lot of planned people crazy. You know, I come down there and work out at your gym, and it probably drives you crazy because I do the same things every time, and most people want to do variants. Well, that's about the only thing I do that's actually the same thing every time I do it.
So is it kind of nice to start your day like
I don't have to think about it. I just like I'm going to go do my routine.
Uh-huh.
And the rest of it may go south real quick from there. You never know.
Because we've talked about, in the morning, like, because so many things can be variables for you during the day. So for you, if I'm going to have a routine, it's got to be first thing in the morning.
Yes.
I got to get up early. I got to do it. Do you see that routine as, because you don't have a routine, and you hear all these things that people say, oh, well, you got to have a routine. You got to have a routine. Do you think that maybe hour that is your routine in the morning helps you be successful in everything else you do that day?
Yes. I think it always makes me feel better, for one thing, and it just starts the day off with a positive. Like you've seen the podcast about the guy that made the bed first thing, and started off with a positive. And it's just hard to beat a positive start. The average started off right, so it's hard to bring the average down. If you don't kind of make any positive direction in anything you're doing, even if it's a tiny bit.
And you stack those up throughout the day, and it really it adds up.
Add up.
So over the years, definitely real estate from 95 till 30 years.
Yes.
How's it changed in our community, in Bowie and maybe surrounding Montague County?
Well, I've been doing it nearly 30 years now, and it is crazy. I'm going to say it's changed more in the last 5 years than it's changed in the entire time I've been in it before that. In the fact that the media type, the TikToks, the Facebooks, the everything, and I'm kind of older. I mean, I'm not old, but it's harder for me to change because I was so busy doing it the way I was doing it. It made it hard to want to adapt these new ways, and these younger people or newer people to it that are, they've got time to learn that. And sometimes with all the other deals we've got going, it's hard for me to slow down enough to learn as much as I should. And that's with my daughter coming on. I'm hoping she's going to kind of modernize me and TikTok and Snapchat and all that stuff that I'm really behind on.
Because sometimes as we get older, and we think sometimes younger, and I find myself this way too, that, well, they don't know this or that, or, but I do find that when it comes to some of the social media and things like that, the younger you find them that can help you, they can really add a lot of value to your business. And I think in the past we've been like, well, they're 21, 22, 23, what do they know? But I think they can bring a lot of value.
A lot of new energy and new ideas that, everything changes. Just like that flexibility thing. That's why you got to be flexible, because there's always change, and consequently, you need that young ideas that they don't even know what the old way is. So a new way to them is the way. They don't even realize that, there was some other way of doing it before, and it's a little easier for them to learn that, and that's good for them, and consequently, hopefully good for us. It'll rub off on us and get us sometimes caught up to speed.
Because we're not too old to learn.
No, we hope we're learning every day.
Yeah. So do you feel, so how do you combat, like, if you're not up on social media and all that, for selling real estate and different things, how do you compete with that? When you may not be up to date with all the social media.
Right. Well, I hope that, like I say, she can help modernize us there, and then we're just kind of watching, our state level TAR, Texas Association of Realtors, has some classes and some things that'll kind of help modernize you, and you watch your peers, and you can always learn from them, we hope, even if, they're a newcomer. Sometimes they've got them new ideas, that they've seen somebody else, or maybe that's just a new idea that they created.
And with the growing of social media, how do you find that people still like to connect? Like, I know we've talked before, you like to go into Allsup's and get a drink or a snack, because it's not necessarily the snack or the drink that you want to go in and get. It's you want to see who's there.
I'm
Who do I
an
talk
extrovert.
to?
Yes, I love people, and my daughter's the same way. And it's kind of funny. I'll find myself just talking randomly to different people, and it kind of irritates my wife. But you know, I'm just that way. I like to see. I like to know about their families and their people. I don't know. I'm kind of nosy, and I seem to have a natural talent for people telling me everything about themselves without me really even having to ask. And I always had a fun time with my daughter. One time she brought this boyfriend in, and I told her I was having a investigator. Well, I talked to him about 5 minutes and just asked him a few little questions. He just told me everything there was to know almost. And so later on, I said, I had this private investigator tell me. And long story short, she said, "You really, how did you get him to find all that, on this kid?" I said, "He actually told me every bit of it." And people will tell you what they want or what they need, or which really pays off in the sales business.
Mm-hmm. And that really is. I mean, that is a skill that I don't think people pay attention enough to. That especially as business owners, that people will tell you what they want, what they need, what they're looking for. If we listen, they might not come out and say, "I'm looking for a home that is blah blah blah," but when they start telling you about their family and how it's about to grow and the space they need, you can match a place with them because you start to know, they're telling me what they need without telling me what the physical structure is.
Right, for sure. And a lot of people think they want one thing, but when they find it, it's totally, probably just like Kim when she found you.
Yeah,
it wasn't what she's expected.
Yeah, that's right. But then
she's happy as hell.
That's right. That's pretty good. Yeah. So it really is about, and I bring that back to about you connecting with people because yes, there's a way to connect with social media, but I just think that misses out sometimes on that human connection.
Yes. That's what the funny thing, and just back to your original question of how things have changed. When in '07, when we bought Dad's business back, or his building, we moved down there and we'd been on 59 and they had put a turning lane out there, so we didn't have any parking lot. When we moved up here on Y Street, it just nearly instantly tripled our business because of the location. And people were coming in. Now, we literally, I don't think, have maybe one person who ever walked in our real estate office. And back then, we'd have practically 80% of our business was walking.
That's not because business is slower.
No, it's been busy.
It's because of they can go online.
Yeah, of Realtor.com, Zillow, all the media spots that sell real estate, lands in Texas, and land lots.
And in '07, '08, '09, they're really, when they have to come in to see what you have because it's not always listed unless you look in the paper. Or,
right, for sure. They would come in with the shopper, the Bowie News, and say, "Where's this place?" I can't say that we've had that in 5 years. They just do not look in the papers anymore.
They just look online, and a lot of times they've looked at all the pictures, they've looked at square footage and all that, so they're coming at you probably a little more educated.
Yes,
so you find it in that aspect, it's a little easier, not easier, but a little different, that they already come knowing a little more than they used to.
Right. Well, they come in a lot of times where we used to have to tell them what they, here, this is my. Now they come in, "Hey, I've seen this online. I want to go look at this."
Mm-hmm.
It's not us telling them most of the time. It's them telling us what they want to see that they've seen.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got to attract them in a different nature. We've got to attract them in because of us. They know us, or they've got some connection online somewhere. And like with Realtor.com, Zillow. We've got pages where our pictures are. Where we try to pop up, pay for positions to pop up toward the top of a page, so that we kind of get people out there.
Mm-hmm. They're the first thing they see when they pull it up.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And what are some successes you've had? And maybe it's not just in real estate because you do ranching too, and you have. And I wrote this name down, but I'm not going to get the name right. A certain type of bulls, right?
Yeah, Charlotte.
Charlotte. Okay, I put Charlotte, but that's right.
Charlotte.
and so that's that's really a business of yours. It's really passionate.
Yes.
We've talked before. If you can just live off the ranch, you'd be
Yes, yes, I would love to do that. And it, really not much of a reality anymore because land's gotten so high. And but we do have a fair amount to where I make a pretty decent living, and I've had good fortune there too in the fact I've got a couple of families that had connections through for most of my life really, and had leases that they're not selling their land. It's been really fortunate for me, and I take pretty good care of their places too, and I'm pretty known as a pretty good steward of the land, so they don't have a need to want to go somewhere else too. It kind of helps. But I love selling bulls, and meeting people. Again, I get to see their ranches and deliver the bulls to their places. And I've got a little niche in the fact that I don't sell really registered bulls. I've got registered stock, but I sell kind of commercially to the bigger ranches out west a lot. And sell 5 and 10 at a time, which is a lot in a bull market. To people, and they, it sells me out pretty quick, and they're putting them on black cows, so they don't care if they're registered. They just want big bulls, at a decent price, maybe not a full registered price, but it's pretty close. And that's I'm a little old man that was kind of a mentor down at Decatur. I kind of emulated that a little bit, and that's how he did it. And I was pretty good friends with him.
So how long have you been selling bulls?
Well, I've been in the Charolais business for about 20 years, I guess. And we've always had cattle pretty much all my life, but the Charolais, Dad had them in the 60s and 70s, and he sold them, and then we kind of got back into them in '94 when the cattle market went down. I started buying a few Charolais bulls from the little old man I was telling you about in Decatur, and he kind of taught me into getting a few cows, and next thing I know, I got a few more. And anyway, it's been fun.
And Charolais bulls they're white, right?
Yes,
yeah.
Yes, sir.
Because if you're a city boy like me,
yeah,
the only reason I know is because Robin posts pictures. That's why
yes, my wife likes to take pictures for sure.
Yeah,
she's. It's kind of funny. Yeah, you can always get better at stuff because when she used to take pictures of us working cattle, it's always the same picture at the head gate, giving them a shot. I said, honey, could you not take a little better picture? I mean, it's the same picture every time. And now she don't ever take that picture, and she gets some really good pictures that I've wanted to enter in some contests, with the bulls and people out in the cattle and different things, and some of the sites you see out at the ranch, and it's really, we love it. That's our passion. We get out on a ranger and ride around when it's cool. Maybe not this 100%,
not right now.
But most of the time, that's our only real hobby. Just seeing stuff and taking pictures.
And Kim always comments about the pictures she takes. Man, those are really good because Kim likes she likes the animals and land, landscape, and all that. She's like, man, those are really good. So it's neat. So what successes have you had over the years? Maybe one or two in the real estate business or cattle business that have really, said, yeah, just reassurance if I'm doing it right, or just the maybe a successful thing you've learned in one of those businesses or both, or
right. Well, I would say two things. It kind of goes with both businesses and nearly all businesses is to take care of what you're giving. Whether it's the ranch land, cattle, people, it all goes hand in hand. If you take care of it, it comes back to you not tenfold. I mean, that's what I would say. And I feel like I take pretty good care of customers, try to make them happy. And sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you don't make them happy, but if you've tried your best, that's, about all you can do.
And as we've talked before, and I've mentioned with other businesses, we're not, as business owners, we're not for everybody. Now, there's some people, just like, if somebody wants not a Charolais bull, you're not the person for it.
No.
And that's okay. That's okay that if we don't necessarily have to be for everybody. But for those people that we are giving them things and we're giving, if we take good care of that, I think that you're right, it does come back to us.
Yes.
And those that maybe we just want to right fit, and we just want to right fit and move on. So what about some challenges? I know, being in Bowie all these years, there's challenges, and challenges aren't necessarily bad things. It's just things sometimes that are challenges. Just like any family, I have two brothers and a sister. And we have challenges. We had challenges growing up as kids. We've had challenges growing up as adults. But we're still family. So what are maybe a couple of challenges that either your business had or just that you've seen that our community has had over all those years?
Well, I'll say a positive thing about Bowie that I love. We've been insulated against a lot of the recessions and the downtimes in my career because of the oil field and various things, like when the bubble burst in like '08. We had the oil boom start here, and everybody was talking about how bad it was real estate wise in the whole United States, and we were just kicking another gear right here, because our oil field men were working, making great money, and EOG come in here and was drilling wells, and that money was getting spread around, and so that was definitely a good thing. But the challenges have been, in the cattle business, the droughts. I mean, like in '11, we sold, half our cattle, and it's pretty, you don't just go replace them overnight, and it don't recover overnight, and it's not fun, but you just live through it. You go to roll on to the next deal.
But sometimes that sounds kind of easy to roll on to the next deal. But that can be challenging.
Yes.
I mean, do you think so when you say that, and really having a couple businesses, do you see that too as helpful as, because when cattle market's down, maybe real estate's up. When real estate's down, maybe cattle's up. When both of them are up, it's great. But probably in all those years, is it pretty rare that both are down at the same time?
Yes, we're pretty much right. Right now, the real estate's down a little bit, but the cattle business is about as high as it's been, since '15, and it's pretty good. It kind of keeps me busy mentally, because sometimes you get so busy in the real estate business you can't quite get to it all. So when you get slow, it'll kind of wear on you a little bit. And when you got for me, when I get the cattle and get out there in Mother Nature and where you're happy and quiet, it kind of, and you're making a little money too, it kind of helps to kind of solve your mental dilemmas.
Mental dilemmas, that's true. Because sometimes when we have people, I hate to say yakking at us, but when they're talking at us, it's hard to get through some of that mental stuff.
Yes.
And I think that can be a form of therapy when you're out there. It's quiet,
Definitely.
and nobody. Cattle needs some feed and water, and otherwise that's about it. Yes. So our community, we hear all the time this is 2023 that a lot of people are moving into our community. Is there still places and land to be bought up?
Oh yeah. We're strategically placed where Decatur's pretty much turning into a metroplex. Almost. It's building up in between it and Ford pretty quick. And we're, kind of the outline area like Decatur had been 20 years earlier. And they're coming here fast, and they're dividing these places into 10 and 15 and 20 acre tracts. They bring a lot of money, and there's a lot of people building houses. Decatur itself, population-wise, hasn't grown in the city limits because their city limits is limited. But their business area around is really growing. It's just like they can't keep up with the schools and everything. All the development outside of the city limits, and that's we're not there yet, but we're moving that direction, and that's good and that's bad. I mean, the real estate business, I guess it's good. But it does pose challenges to the city, keeping up and everything really, and everybody. The old timers here, it's hard to adjust to new traffic and new people and different ideas because the city people don't think like we do. And that's not that they're wrong. It's just we're all slower paced and like everybody, and sometimes they're a little faster paced and don't like to wait on us slow talking country people.
Yeah, I mean it does. So do you see with what you see in real estate, selling houses, land, all that? Do you see us getting closer to like Decatur and that line growing like that in the next 20 years?
Yes, definitely. When I first got in real estate, 25, 30 years ago, it was people always bought little tracts and they were going to build a house on it. And I always joked and said, well, if I just had $1 for every place I sold that they were going to build a house on, that they don't build a house on, I'd be rich. Well, now they're actually doing that. You know, they're now with the internet, a lot of people not working at an office, and we got great internet service here. You know, a lot of it's got fiber, you know, so it's fast. And people are moving out here for a different lifestyle. And they want that, and they can get that here. And that's what I think is great about Bowie. You know, you get the slower pace, and, you know, and maybe we don't have all the fancy restaurants, but everybody's got a good vehicle. They can drive 30 minutes or an hour to the Metroplex area if they've got to have them fancy places, and they can be in our slow town. It has fun, and we got a lot of little stores downtown, and, you know, and a lot of things to do here. You know, you just got to adjust from the city mentality to the small town.
So we talk about those that move in, adjust city to small mentality. How do we, as community members of Bowie, adjust to those moving in?
Well, we have to be broad-minded because, you know, for instance, you know, where we live out in the country, we're not used to any close neighbors, and we've had a little place that sold down the road from us. They divided into smaller tracts. You know, and the people, our dogs are used to roaming, you know, probably a mile radius around their house, and we didn't think nothing of it. And this lady built a house, and, you know, our dogs got in the yard, and she shot two of them, killed one of them, you know, and that's, we were just not used to people. Most of them would have just called us and said, hey, your dogs are over here, and they're bothering our chickens, or, you know, and wanted us to pay them for their chicken if it hurt it or something, but they don't think the same. You know, so we have to adjust and just say, well, you know, I guess, you know, that was probably justified. Maybe it could have been a little different, but you know, that's just got to adjust. They think different.
And I think it's right, because they do have to adjust. And I think sometimes we think, well, they need to adjust to us. But I think if they adjust a little bit, we adjust a little bit, and be welcoming of those that come. And I think they do find that as they move in from other places, they see the way our community culture is, and I think they start to assimilate with that. But too, we can't be so quick, I think, to say, well, we don't like them moving in.
Yes,
because those are really good things for our community, for our small businesses,
yes,
for our organizations, because they also bring new ideas, like you said.
Yes, you know, and they're like the Chapman building here, for instance. These people have fixed this property up, and there's other properties that's been fixed up around town because people bring in new money, new ideas, and they want to see Bowie beautified. And some of our buildings were getting dilapidated, and when they do that, you know, it's a positive, and it gives Bowie a better image, and you know, it's a positive. You just gotta, you know, we've got to support those small businesses so we can keep that flow up to upgrade our town, you know, to something that we're proud of.
Because it's just like our homes.
Yes.
You know, we're constantly doing things to our homes to make them look better.
Yes.
Same thing is true with our community. We have to be doing things, and people want to come in and bring their money and bring some new ideas. Then I think we should be open to that if it's for the betterment of our community. That's just going to get in more people too. And you know, so what might you say to those that say, well, we don't want our town to grow?
Well, I can just tell you that it's going to grow, and you can like it, or you can not like it. But the positive side is, to me, is you know, you get new people, you get new ideas, and you know, it's a great place to live, and we're strategically placed between two larger towns, you know, where we can get to anywhere, get anything we don't have in an hour, and I just think that it's a great place. You know.
Yeah, it's it's why. And talk about Baxter. She's moving back. She is back, right?
Yes.
So, and she moved away, and I always think that's one of the best things because like I mentioned on many shows, we encourage our kids to move away. Not because it's a bad place to live, but because we want them to be able to appreciate what they had. Because growing up here, you might be a little more fortunate. You might have already appreciated what we have here. But I think sometimes with social media, kids think, well, it's better in their neighborhood, which is somewhere else. And they don't appreciate what we have here until they go live somewhere else.
Yes, they have to move off and learn that sometimes the greener grass on the other side of the fence is caused by septic issues. And then they want to come back home sometimes and say that it is a great place. And, and like in Baxter's new ideas, her moving back, she down there at Waco, she was, an extrovert, likes people, and they had a Fajita Tuesday or Fajita Monday, where a lot of younger adults that graduated college were getting together, and it'd be like 20, 30, 40 people, and they'd have it at the various houses every week. And it'd make a simple food. It didn't necessarily have a real meal. And they really got a lot of networking there. And she moved back to Bowie, and she said, I'm not going to have any friends, And I said, well, there's more people here than you think at your age. And so, and she's going to have her first, I don't know what she's calling it. It's not a Fajita Monday because it's on Saturday, but she's having that tomorrow night. And I think she's got about 30 people. She's figured out it's her age. It's, got various jobs, knowing a certain job, and some's married, some's single, and she's having them out, just to socialize, kind of get them grouped together. So she's bringing in a new idea from an outside line deal, and she's an original person leader. So,
And that's really neat because I do hear a lot of 20-somethings say, well, there's nothing to do, there's nobody here, So, and I applaud for that because she's taking action and say, let me get all these people together. And I think sometimes when we want change, we have to take that action.
yes.
And say, well, let me be part of the change. Instead of, and I think sometimes we fall into that mindset of, well, woe is me, nothing's going to change. Because we've probably both heard that about our community over the years. Well, how many times have we heard, well, it's Bowie? Yeah. And I'd always encourage people to say, it's Bowie.
That's Bowie.
Yeah, like be excited about it instead of, And I think I would encourage people as new people move in with new ideas that we don't necessarily tell them, well, it's Bowie. That's not going to. Let them try. Yeah. Because we never know what might take off from her Saturday night.
Yeah, you're right. And like, you're always on a lot of different media about leadership and the right leader. I've seen a lot of businesses, I couldn't figure out how that worked, but the right leader will lead it, make money, or whatever it is, not necessarily making money, leading the town to build new EDC or whatever. It just leadership, it is strategic. And I think we got pretty good leadership here. We got a great mayor and some other great assets in Bowie, that's kind of moving us forward.
Yeah, and I do see our town growing over the years. And there'll be growing pains, just like anything. Things we don't like, things that work, but it'll just take time. But we'll probably have plenty of land, plenty of houses to keep selling.
I think so. Maybe the houses are a little limited. We need some builders to come in here and build new homes. It's been kind of difficult with our price point of what most Bowie people think is an affordable house to develop the lots, because it costs a lot of money to develop lots. Until my nephew was a developer, I really didn't know what it took to develop a lot. You got to get all the utilities, you got to do the city politics, you got to get the surveys, the drainage, all of that. There's a lot of engineering that goes into that. And there's not a lot of buildable lots in town. And consequently, that's kind of limiting our quick growth. If we had some in-place lots, because if you've got a $40,000 or $50,000 lot, which is really probably what it would take, just at cost to develop a lot, that already sets the bar pretty high for a Bowie house. When you build a house, usually our houses under $300,000 sell the best. And if you start getting above $300,000 now, it's a little more difficult to sell. When I first started, if it was over $100,000, you couldn't sell it. And so it's obviously went way up.
So has that changed in the last couple of years? Because I know the house prices have increased the last couple of years.
Yes.
That's changed in just the last couple.
Since COVID, it's doubled in 3 years. I mean, it's house that was a $150,000 house, easily $300,000 now.
And that's just because of the demand.
Yes, the demand. I mean, just people were that cheap interest drove up the pricing, and consequently, when it gets up high, and now labor costs are so difficult and so high that they can't build them for what they could, and so when construction costs go up, generally housing values go up, and that's always been, and will kind of always been.
And I think sometimes we want to kind of blame on, as prices increase in our community, well, it's all those people moving in. They're driving up the prices.
Yeah, I don't know that that's always the case. I mean, the demand's there. I mean, it's a lot of the local houses are selling to local people, and they're just so many younger people that are staying here because they like Bowie too. So it's not. I'm going to say, when we sell a house in the city limits proper of Bowie, I'm going to say it's about 70% chance it's a local person or a young person that's moved back. It's not. I wouldn't say they're outsiders when they're from here.
Right.
So I'm going to say only 20-30%. And that's not a scientific, but it's Josh's scientific.
And it's really it really breaks down to supply and demand.
Yes.
Cost goes up because there's less supply,
houses.
more demand.
Yeah, there's less houses, like I said, being built. Less houses. The older houses that get fixed up. We're just a finite number of them. So,
So that's just
supply and demand.
how it is.
Yes.
So what as we wrap up, what makes you call Bowie my hometown?
Well, I think it's the fact that I've always loved it. I can remember when we were going to high school and people were like, I can't wait to get out of Bowie. I'm like, what's so bad about Bowie? I thought I was, lived like a king here. I mean, I had everything I wanted. My parents had businesses and knew everybody. I could walk in anywhere, and I like knowing people. And, I don't know as many people now because there's more new people, but that's what I like too, also meeting new people. And, but you still got the small town of people that you know a lot of base of the people, and then you got enough new people to keep you entertained, to meet new people and keep it growing and glowing, and hopefully, moving on.
Yeah, and that's a good point. It's a good mix of new people and people you know.
Definitely.
And if you're an extrovert, you like that.
Yeah.
And that's a I'm by nature an introvert. So you talk to way more than I would because I've never gone to Dawson just to back up a conversation.
Well, I know it sounds crazy,
but it works.
Yeah.
And I think that being able to network and talk to people like that definitely helps business. It helps, just like this podcast, it helps people get to know you. But that's how we get to know people. Because when we social media or text, we don't quite get the same energy or connection as we do sitting across from each other, standing across from each other.
Yeah, you know more about them. You can read their face, and it reads different in person than it does through the lens.
So I'd always encourage people in our small community to get out and talk to people, get out and talk to the business owners, to get to know them, just to see what we have to offer. Yes. I think a lot of times we don't do that. We just say, well, this is just Bowie.
Yes.
And I think we need to change that attitude to excitement. This is Bowie.
Yes, definitely. And I think I forgot to tell that I think God bless this town. I mean, I think we're all blessed. It's because of Him.
And I agree. I think we're very blessed, and we have to, because you're right. Bowie is a strange place that we just seem to have a bubble around.
Yep. We're unique.
We're unique, and it's not a bad. It's almost like say it's a blessing.
Yes, I think so.
That and we hope that as people come in, they feel that. Yes. As they come into our town, buy a house, buy land.
Go to the gym.
Go to the gym. That's right. Come visit one of us.
Yes. So we'll house you and build you up.
That's right. Physically and structurally. Yes. Yeah. Well, thank you, Josh, for joining me today. I appreciate taking the time to share a little about cattle business, about real estate, and I think people are interested in knowing about the real estate and how that impacts our community, because it really does make a big difference. what sells, who moves in, moves out. And so I just appreciate you taking the time and sharing some of the lessons that your dad taught you. I know he taught you a whole lot more than what we touched on today. We've talked about a lot of them. Thank goodness for Dad that teaches lessons, tell us directly, but also show us things we do and don't want to do.
Yeah, so, for sure. Well, thanks for having me, Aaron, and thanks for the, all the good things.
You're welcome. So, how can people, before I forget, how can people connect with Sue Swint Realty? Yep.
Well, you can get on SueSwintRealty.com and see our listings and our website, and it's got our contact numbers. If you're on Facebook, you want to see Charlotte's. My wife puts Swint Charlotte pictures on there pretty regular, maybe not as much in the summer in this heat, but you can get us one of them 2 ways.
So we'll put both of those in the show notes, and if you happen to follow your brother-in-law on Facebook, they can catch you. Yeah, maybe catching a nap.
Catch me napping.
Yeah, that was the greatest.
Yes.
Just like me, we can nap anywhere.
That's right.
That's a talent.
You get us still, we're out.
Yeah, I tell Kim, I said that's a blessing that we have been. That's a gift that many people are jealous of. So, thank you, Josh. We'll put those in the show notes, and I think connect with you that way. So I appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. Thank you each of you for stopping by. I'm looking forward to seeing you around my hometown.